Hello there, good evening indeed. Thank you for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. We do hope you had yourselves a productive day. And now, this is what is coming up on our edition tonight. On Thursday afternoon, President Paul Kagame received the Turkish delegation led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mevlut Cavusoglu, for discussions on ways to strengthen existing partnerships between Rwanda and Turkey.
The National Bank of Rwanda, BNR, says establishing guidelines for settling cases related to compensation as well as bank interest is important for those who seek services in financial institutions.
And a very good evening to you, and glad you joined us on Rwanda Television News tonight. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And mine, Martina Avera.
How are you, Martina?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
Very great.
Okay, you can start us off.
Straight to business. On Thursday afternoon, President Paul Kagame received the Turkish delegation led by Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mevlut Cavusoglu, for discussions on ways to strengthen existing partnerships between Rwanda and Turkey.
Now, not moving far from that, Rwanda and Turkey praise their diplomatic relations as it is benefiting both sides as 20 cooperation agreements in different sectors have been signed. This was said on Thursday in the first day of the two-day working visit of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey in Rwanda. Prince Manzi has the report.
The Turkish Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mevlut Cavusoglu, commenced his visit in Rwanda at the Kigali Genocide Memorial, home to more than 250,000 bodies of Tutsi massacred in the 1994 genocide. It is his second visit. His first was in 2016.
Every time I'm here, I'm impressed by Rwanda's rapid development. That is also what I mentioned to my brother Vincent during our meetings. I was also happy to host Vincent in Turkey 4 times in the last 2 years. And I look forward to host him in Antalya, at Antalya Diplomacy Forum in March once again. Today, before the meeting, I visited Kigali Genocide Memorial. Let me repeat our solidarity with the government and people of Rwanda on the genocide against the Tutsi. We want to continue our cooperation in the fields of security and defense industry as well. And we underline once again the importance of the fight against the FETÖ terrorist organization. And here I would like to thank once again Rwandan authorities, President Kagame and the government for the measures that they have taken against FETÖ presence here.
The Rwandan Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, states that many agreements were put in place between these two states in various sectors, and they're aiming to achieve even more.
The benefits have been important as well. Starting with the trade volume, which has increased from $32 million in 29 to $178 million in 2022. And we also told you that the total value of investment undertaken by Turkish companies in Rwanda has reached close to $500 million US. And we mentioned the main sectors which are concerned with these investments, including manufacturing, real estate, hospitality, and construction. In the education sector, we have 240 Rwandans studying in Turkey, and 81 of them are benefiting from scholarships provided by the Turkish government. And we also mentioned in the air services sector, we have a daily flight between Istanbul and Kigali, and these also support the exchanges between both countries. So we have many agreements, and we have been implementing, and we have achieved a lot, but we also aim at achieving even more.
In presence of the press, both ministers signed new agreements in general cooperation, culture, as well as science, technology, and innovation, making a total of 21 agreements signed between Rwanda and Turkey. The Turkish Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mevlut Cavusoglu, commented on the program Turkey has for eradicating the issue of food scarcity especially grains, that is due to the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Grain deal initiative that we brokered together with the United Nations has allowed more than 17 million tons of grain products to reach the world markets. And 5 million tons of this export went directly to sub-Saharan African countries. Over 60% of the grain went to low and middle income countries. Actually, this is our priority of President Erdogan as well. And wheat prices dropped by 8%. And this is a direct benefit for many African countries, I have to say, including Rwanda. And we also work to expand the volume of grain products to Africa by processing them in Turkey. And this is the issue what my president discussed with both President Putin and President Zelensky, and they are also very cooperating with us, very much cooperating with us. So we also work to expedite export of fertilizers, not only Ukrainian, but also Russian fertilizers and grain as well.
In the past 10 years, there was a mark of developing diplomatic relations between these two nations after the 2013 opening of the Rwandan embassy in Ankara and the 2014 opening of the Turkish embassy in Kigali. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Prince, for the report. And as we move ahead, former President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and AU Kenya Peace Envoy and EAC Facilitator of the East African Community, Nairobi, a process on peace and security in Eastern DRC, on Thursday, 12th January 2023, held a consultative meeting with Mr. Bertrand Bisimwa, chairman of the M23, who was accompanied and led a group of senior political and military leaders. The meeting, which took place in Mombasa, is in line with the ongoing EAC-led Nairobi peace dialogue between various Congolese armed groups and the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo, geared towards restoring peace and security in Eastern DRC. The talks in particular focused on a settlement of the situation in the North Kivu. M23 rebels have agreed to withdraw fighters from the Democratic Republic of Congo's North Kivu province and follow a strict ceasefire in a demonstration of goodwill and willingness to work towards the settlement of the situation in North Kivu. The leaders of the M23 agreed to continue with an orderly withdrawal and adhere to a strict ceasefire, the office of the former president said in a statement. During the meeting, it was also agreed that the withdrawal process would continue to be verified by both the East African Regional Force and the ICGLR verification mechanism to ensure the safety and swift return of all the displaced citizens and refugees to return to their homes. This week, the East African Standby Regional Force announced that it had taken control over the strategic Rumangabo following the withdrawal of M23, signifying another milestone in the ongoing efforts to bring peace and stability to the Eastern DRC. The rebel group has also vacated Kibumba, which has been taken over by the East African Regional Force troops. The rebels are expected to subsequently withdraw from the Kishishe and different other parts of the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Over to you, Martina.
Thank you for that, Sam. The National Bank of Rwanda, BNR, says establishing guidelines for settling cases related to compensation as well as bank interests is important for those who seek services in financial institutions and will help courts make appropriate rulings. Jessica Agasaro has the report.
Some of the problems identified by lawyers are mainly based on the fact that courts do not have unified rules and regulation in ruling on cases related to the compensation when financial institutions are brought to court. Hence, most of the decisions are made in favor of financial institutions.
Nimba mu rukiko rumwe bashobora gufata icyemezo ugasanga bashingiye ku nyungu zo kubitsa handi bagashingira ku nyungu amabanki atanga asaba abakiriya bayo.
First and foremost, in court they make a decision based on the interest the banks offer elsewhere and rely on deposits. In fact, there is a contradiction in the decision making. You feel that there's a need for consistent instruction in a similar manner. Secondly, how does one get the right? Money becomes worthless with time. If they took 100,000 from me and gave me back the 100,000 after 2 years, I would have invested and benefited from it.
During the 2 days meeting, the judge of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court deliberated on the harmonization of regulations regarding case rulings, which often attract controversy due to the fact that decisions are made based on the previous rulings. The President of the Supreme Court, Dr. Faustin Hensiryayo, based on this to confirm that in 1 month, new guidelines will be put in place to close this gap.
Hari amategeko amwe atabivuga ku buryo butomoye nkuko mubizi.
There are laws that do not say it in a precise way. The judge cannot rule because there is no law. When you make a decision based on the nature of the case, you can also see how other cases have been decided. The purpose is to avoid inconsistencies in the decisions of the courts. The Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal provide the line for other courts to follow.
The Director of Consumer Protection in the National Bank of Rwanda, Sabimana Gerald, finds that the establishment of these guidelines will solve some of the problem of the service applicants in the financial institution, especially in relation to interest on loans, even though there are other fees that are deducted from customers, such as closing and opening accounts, etc. However, even financial institutions have duties to explain to the customer about loans and their benefits.
No kuvuga ngo ugomba kuyahabwa mbere yo kuyasinya ukabanza ukayasoma ukayasobanurirwa.
You should receive the contract and read it before signing it. And after signing it, you are allowed to spend 30 days thinking about it. An explanation of all the costs you will be charged helps you to make a decision with enough information and to add to it the calculated benefits that the customer is concerned about as well. If you don't understand the credit rating, it will result in foreclosure. The bank will sell the collateral and the money the bank would have received will not be received because even if it sells, it will go bankrupt.
In addition to coordinating the regulations governing cases related to compensation, the judges in the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal are also discussing the establishment of regulation governing cross-border crime, especially those who are accused of various crimes that are sent to Rwanda. Jessica Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
To matters related to trade now, different retailers across the country are demanding the Rwanda Revenue Authority for the value-added tax refund worth 32 billion Rwandan francs that is usually paid in less than 3 months after it has been declared. Prince Manzi goes ahead.
Some of these debtors include industry owners and importers of different products. They point out that this affects their businesses, as some are relying on bank loans that instead will be funding the development of their businesses.
Ahangaha mu ngana nkuko muhabona bose bakoresha amafaranga ya banki ntabwo ari amafaranga yabo. Mu gihe rero batinze ko yagusubiza wowe uriho wishyura inyungu za banki.
Here in industries, we depend on bank loans. It is not our money. They delay in paying us, and you cannot say anything to banks. You are supposed to pay their money. When they fine right to you, they give you only 5 days to have declared, and when you unluckily don't have money to give, they impose heavy measurements, sometimes wanting to shut down your business, which is a challenge to us as entrepreneurs.
Ibintu byose usanga ari ibintu bikomeye ku muntu w'umucuruzi.
None ikindi kibazo kindi gikomeye cyane.
Another major issue is that numbers be demonstrating that you have a profit, and yet the figures are in the VAT refund. And you find that we are asking for loans to pay taxes, and when banks do not give you loan, you are again considered as to have not paid taxes, and yet your money is in refunds, which is really not fair.
Ugasanga ariko na karengane muri byukuri.
The Rwanda Association of Wholesalers and Retailers wrote to the Rwanda Revenue Authority requesting that in this time institutions in charge are revising on how taxes can be simplified, this issue should also be resolved. Some of their requests include that before paying the declared taxes, they should start from the Rwanda Revenue Authority debt and be given a 2% profit rate on the funds indebted. The coordinator of this association, Janvier Biragwa, points out on other various ways on solving this issue.
ibyiza rero byakunda nuko bareka DMC tuba twishyuye niba wagurishije.
Another thing that can be done is, for instance, if you sold 2 containers and declared them. The next time, you should not be charged for maybe 10 containers. This will reduce the pressure in following up the money by the Rwanda Revenue Authority. Instead, one will be charged on the amount already in hold by the Rwanda Revenue Authority, and that would be good. The chairperson of the National Budget and Patrimony Committee, Professor Omar Munyaneza, reveals that this issue will be solved.
ni ukuvuga ngo kiriya nacyo cyo gusubiza abadekaraye nyine amafaranga ya VAT.
Also, for people who declared their VAT, I should be refunded. We found it to be a challenge, so we will discuss it with institutions in charge, which are the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and the Rwanda Revenue Authority, for a quick response. The VAT charged is 18% of the wholesaling price that is collected by the Rwanda Revenue Authority. 12% remains in this authority, and 88% is deposited in the government coffer. This leaves a gap on the amount to be given to entrepreneurs. The Commissioner General of the Rwanda Revenue Authority, Pascal Bizimana Ruganintwari, states that this issue is going to be followed up on.
Byagiye bigaragazwa kenshi tubiganiraho twabifatiye n'ingamba yo kureba uburyo icyo kibazo cyakemuka.
We know about it, and we, in time to time, discussed on it. We used to consider 10% of the VAT, and it was not enough. Then we say 12%. For people to have changed the mentality and pay the VAT on time, and also the technology in indicating those who should pay it without auditing, the VAT increased to the extent we do have like over 30 million Rwandan francs to be refunded. We discussed on how this issue can be solved permanently because we acknowledge it and the solution will be there soon.
Ariko ni ikibazo rwose natwe twemera kandi kiduhangayikishije. Ariko umuti uri gushakishwa kandi uzaboneka vuba ngaha.
Since July 2018, the government took a decision of increasing the VAT amount from 10% to 12%. In February 2019, the Rwanda Revenue Authority revealed that it was indebting 45 billion Rwandan francs to entrepreneurs and paid at least 15 billion. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Prince Manzi, for that report. Now on to health matters. Health experts believe that developing medicine based on the genetics of Africans would play an important role in combating some of the diseases that commonly affect Africans. Jessica Agasaro has the report.
During the Africa Afia Conference on increasing access to quality healthcare for all that was held in Rwanda, the participants were informed that in the year of 2050, Africa will be inhabited by 2.5 billion people from 1,400,000,000 people now. Professor Mambo Claude Muvunyi, the Director General of Rwanda Biochemical Center, noted that strict measures should be taken to improve the health of Africans.
ubukangurambaga abaturage dukoresheje abajyanama b'ubuzima badufasha cyane.
The health counselors help us a lot by treating malaria and other basic diseases in the community and giving education to the community to prevent diseases. Mutuelle de Santé also helps us increase the number of people who can receive health care.
abaturage babasha kubagwa ubuvuzi.
And scientist explains that genomics and precision medicine is what African continent needs, as well as investment in innovation in Africa's health sector.
Precision medicine is an evolving or new approach to treatment where the treatment considers an individual's genetic makeup, environment, and other factors to determine what would most likely work best for that patient given a certain condition, as opposed to the traditional method. As a first step, one, to eliminate treatment failures or addressing treatment failures and side effects.
Dr. Robert Karanja and John Paul Omolo from Kenya finds that the use of precision medicine and genomics can also help improve the quality of medical care provided to Africans.
And all the drugs that have been developed by the pharmaceutical industry, they're looking at the DNA of the Mzungu, the Caucasian, and they're not looking at our DNA. And so now we're getting to a point where, yes, new drugs have been developed. Even the vaccine for COVID has been developed. But if it was designed with the Mzungu DNA, not the African DNA, what are the chances it's going to work for us? So if we don't start to build our own industry in Africa.
Medicine is going where we are able to really decide what the disease is and target that disease with the right medication. And the reason as to why that is important is because when you do that, then we reduce the time it takes for you to take the medicine to a point where you are getting healed. And it also reduces adverse reactions out of the medications. And what does that mean in my pocket, in your pocket? It means that we are going to lower the cost of care. Maybe we are at this point, because we do not have very specific treatments that are meant for the genetic composition of the African population.
Medical experts believe that improving the quality of healthcare in Africa should be accompanied by an increase in numbers of doctors and the establishment of specialized factories for the manufacturing and medical products and equipment to reduce the cost of importing them from outside the continent. Africa currently has a shortage of 2.3 million doctors, which could reach 4.3 million in 2035 if no action is taken. Jessica Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
Academia 2063 has launched a comprehensive Africa climate change initiative, which will help Rwanda and the African continent as a whole to implement environmental protection policies with a focus on preventing the amount of gas emissions as one of the major factors which contribute to the effects of the climate change. Adam Squizera with more.
Rwanda is one of the few African countries to have the lowest greenhouse gas emissions. On that case, the Academia 2063 has launched an initiative with the regional and country level, which will provide broader climate and environmental policy support to implement those policies, as Dr. Getao Tades expressed his purpose as well.
The countries that have been, suffered with significant impact on climate change. Despite we have only 3%, Africa contribute only 3% of the emissions, the global emission. But at the same time, the cost of the climate change is very heavily burden for African countries. So then I think the rest of the world has to provide some finance and support African countries. But in order to support and attract investment on climate change.
Some of the efforts of the Rwandan government include the establishment of various programs, which includes the environmental preservation. The Deputy Director General of the Rwanda Environment Management Authority, REMA, Faustin Munyazikwiye, pointed out that this initiative came to support other government measures to deal with the climate change.
Collect data and do data analysis and produce report to help us to monitor the implementation of our NDC. Indeed, at international level, we are intending to have the measuring, reporting and verification system known as MRV, which will help us to justify the progress of the country in terms of achieving our climate targets. So this partnership is vital in terms of building capacity.
By strengthening resilience to climate change, the study says that implementing the commitments from 2021 to 2030, Rwanda is required to invest $11 billion, hence to also fulfill Paris agreements. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for that report. Teachers and students in the southern province say that the technological resources made available by the government enhance their academic performance and equip them with the skills necessary to succeed in the workplace and on the job market. Olive Nete has more.
At Groupe Scolaire Notre-Dame de Lourdes, located in Dimana sector, Ruhango district, Irakoze Cynthia and her classmates who are in senior 6 in the section of mathematics, economics and chemistry are studying ICT with the help of computers. The teacher of this course, Najijimana Alexi, is not physically in school but is teaching his students online. He says that not being in class doesn't stop him from following up with his students. From his laptop, he can recognize a student who attended school and those who missed classes. Through this, he can also be aware of students who is conducting his exercises or even be aware of those who are distracted. He also says that a student who is unable to attend school or even another country can still continue with his lessons with the help of his computer, which has this application that they use while studying.
The student must have an able to access the link, and then the link take him to the lesson of the day. They also have access to asking questions as well as the interactions in class.
After this lesson of ICT, students continue with mathematics lesson. Naukurirya Jean Bosco, the teacher of mathematics, urged Cynthia to make a device for chalks with the help of skills gained in mathematics learned in the first semester. The mathematics teacher says that Cynthia can do more, but that she often faces limitations such as appropriate materials.
That machine is slow because it is small. If we got a chance of getting another machine which is somehow big, we can produce a little quantity of that material, such as in a day we can produce 5 materials. We can produce a cup, a cylinder a day, and the other useful materials.
Ineza Cynthia says that learning through technology makes it easier for her and that it is more productive.
For example, this box, we designed it in the computer and then put it on the TF card, then insert it in here so that we can produce it like right away like this. This can help us like in our daily life where we can use all these materials for our daily activities, like here at school, we can use this to put on the chalks that we use. Also help us to save some money that could have been used to buy these materials on the market.
Some headmasters of schools say that technology and training tools that the Ministry of Education has been providing to teachers continue to assist them in improving the quality of education. More than 10 of my students told me that they found employment not as teachers, but in other fields. Some of them are working at various sectors in the tech field. The Director General of the Rwanda Basic Education Board, Dr. Mbarushimana Nelson, points out that technology has facilitated their work and interaction with schools.
In this year's national budget, we have a plan of providing 25,000 laptops, and we are currently working on finding additional laptops.
Currently, among 1,888 secondary schools in the country, 891 have smart classrooms where teachers and students conduct research and study different subjects. The Ministry of Education says that it will continue to increase the number of these smart classrooms as the budget becomes available. Olive Nete, RTV News.
And from this, we put a period on tonight's edition of the news. And on behalf of the entire news production, as well as the technical team, thank you for being with us. Up until next time, my name is Sam Kalisa.
And mine, Martina Avera.
And we wish you to stay safe.
And have a great night.
Goodbye.